welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah. I am so glad to have you here with me today. We have some exciting stuff to talk about. I just got in the Natasha Denona Mini Crush eyeshadow palette in the little brush, the little set she did for Valentine's Day, and I thought I would come on here and we would do a first impressions. I plan on doing a tutorial and we're going to do some swatches as well as some comparisons to the Mini Love, and then I also have the Alter Ego dupe from the Midi Love palette. I'll pull that out and we can do some comparisons to that, and then we can also see if there are any similar shades in the Retro palette. So if any of that sounds good to you, then just keep on watching. And now first off, let's look at the Unicarton. So this is the outside packaging. It's very cute. I love the detail, the Valentine's Day hearts. It's all very Valentine's Day themed if you ask me. And of course it comes with the Mini Crush eyeshadow palette and then the brush, just like the little holiday set she did around Christmas. Now when we go to flip it over, you can go ahead and pause and look at any of those ingredients or any of the information on the back if you're interested. This eyeshadow palette is made in Italy and it has a 24-month shelf life. Now I'm sure everybody would like to look at the palette, so here she is. This is the new Natasha Denona Mini Crush eyeshadow palette. Now let's go through the shades. Here we have Daisy, which is I think a chroma crystal. I think that's the formulation name. Then we have the shade Lotus right here, which is a creamy matte. Then we have Koi, which is another creamy matte shade. And then the shade Soul, again, a creamy matte. And then right here on the end, we have the shade Claret, and this is a metallic formulation. Now, here is the thing about this palette. So it seems like none of these shades are actually new additions to Natasha Denona's range. So I'll go ahead and go over that with you. This shade right here on the end is Daisy, and that can be found in the Cranberry eyeshadow palette. The next shade, which is Lotus, this can be found in the Safari palette. And then Koi, which originally everybody was thinking was a new shade, actually the shade number actually matches a shade in the Safari palette. It is the same exact shade. It's called Masai in the Safari palette. Same number, same everything. And then here Soul can be found in the Midi Size Love palette. And then Claret can be found in the Metropolis palette. If you have any of those palettes, then this may be something that you personally can skip out on and you may not need to add into your collection. Let's go ahead and do some swatches of this palette before we get into the eyeshadow look. So the first shade that I'll swatch is Daisy. Then I'll go into Lotus. And then a Koi. I'll swatch them for you on the back of my hand. First we have Daisy, then we have Lotus, and then we have Koi. Oh, that one's quite a bit skippy. Let me see. Interesting. Let's see if we can build that swatch up. Yeah, I'm able to build it up, but it still looks, even though I went over it with another pass, it still looks a little splotchy. We'll see how it performs on the eyes. And then lastly, let's go ahead and swatch the shades Soul and Claret. Ooh, Claret is very chunky. So there is Soul, swatching way better. And there we have Claret down here at the bottom. So we have a nice range of shades. I really like this shade. I myself don't have the Cranberry palette, so I definitely wanted it for this. And then you have Lotus, which is a very nice, a transitional shade. A nice shade to deepen things out here with Koi. Another nice kind of crease shade with Soul. And then a very pretty metallic shade here with Claret. Overall, for a Valentine's Day release, I think this is a really good range of colors. We have some of our more pinky red shades, and then we have more pinky, more mauvey purpley shades. So I think this is a good range of shades for a Valentine's Day release. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started into this eye look. I want to try this brush. So let me give you a close-up. This is what the brush looks like itself. It is kind of pinched, so you would be able to use it as a shader brush or to pack some shadow down on the lid, but it's also a little wider, so you can still use it to blend shadows, which I find that that's a very nice little thing to add into a set. I mean, the minis are usually $25 anyway, so getting a nice little bonus brush is not something bad, and it's very soft. So to start things out, I'm going to dip into this shade right here, Lotus, and I'm going to take this shade and I'm going to sweep it all through my crease with this brush. It's definitely pulling way more pink on me than I feel like it looked in the palette and on the swatch. On my hand, on my eye, it looks way more pink, which, I mean, that's fine. It's definitely a pink palette. You know what you're getting yourself into. And, I mean, it's blending up perfectly. No issues, no nothing. It looks very smooth. And I feel like I got a good amount of color payoff on my lid. I'm just going back in with a little bit more of a Lotus. And I'm just building it up a little bit, intensifying things, seeing how much this shade itself can actually be built up. And as you can see, I'm able to build it up quite a bit actually and get some pretty good pigmentation, which is nice to see on my medium complexion. That's very nice. I'm going to go ahead and wipe that brush off, and then I'm going to go into which shade shall I use next? I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to dip into this shade right here, Soul. Now, if you're not familiar with Natasha Denona's formula, it can tend to be a little powdery in the pan, but this palette, I'm not noticing anything different than what I'm used to with Natasha's formula. And this brush is super easy to work with. Very easy, and I'm having no issues with it. I really like this little brush. It's handy. And as you saw, I just laid the color down right here in the outer portion of my crease, and I kind of just blended it, worked it back and forth on my eye. And I'm just getting a very nice gradient in with Lotus that's already existing down on my eye. And the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to dip into Koi, this middle dark shade right here. And I'm going to take that and just tap it down in my outer corner just to deepen things up a little bit. Give me some depth and see what we can get. I mean, it definitely works. It serves its purpose. And the first pass was a little light, but I'm building it up now. It's blending very nicely into the other shades. I quite like that. Now let's go ahead and do the lower lash line while we're here. I'm going to pick up a Rephr 13. It is just a small little blending brush. I'm going to run a little bit of a Soul right under my lower lash line, connecting it up with that outer corner. And I'm just going to bring that all the way in. Run that all along my lower lash line. Then I'm going to grab a little pencil brush. I think this is, yeah, this is a Rephr number 3. And I'm going to go into Koi. Now I'm taking Koi and I'm running that right along my lashes. Like as close as I can get without putting powder into my eyeball. Now let us put this shade down onto our lid, right? This is Daisy. This is what we're all here for. I really want to play with it. I want it everywhere. It is so pretty. The swatch was gorgeous. I am afraid that this is going to be like more of a toppery formula, but we'll see what we can get. I'm taking my finger and ooh, so pretty. You could probably use this as a topper, but I think this will be okay as like a standalone shadow. I just swiped it on, and now I'm using the remnants on my finger just to kind of pat out the edges and blend it into those matte shades that I laid down. That is so pretty. You could totally wear this to Valentine's, like a Valentine's Day little dinner, or you could wear this like every day if you bought this palette and you just want use out of it. This is a really pretty wearable look in my opinion. Sorry, I keep looking at myself in my mirror because I think this is such a pretty look. Now to do my highlight, because there's no shade in this palette to do like an inner corner or a brow bone highlight, I'm going to dip into my Mini Love palette. I'm going into my Mini Love, and then I'm going to get this shade right here, which is called True, and I'm going to use that as my inner corner and my brow bone highlight. I'm so sad, guys. I dropped my Mini Love palette on the floor before I started filming, and I cracked the packaging. Like, the shadows are 100% fine, no issues, but I cracked the damn plastic, so that's a little disappointing. But there we go, guys. So this is the finished final look before I put any eyeliner and mascara on. I'm going to go ahead and pop off. I'm going to match up my other eye, put on some eyeliner, mascara, and then we're going to come back for some comparison swatches. So this is the finished final look with some lashes and some eyeliner. What do you guys think? Tell me down in the comments. I really like it. I think it is quite nice. It's a very pink, very Valentine's Day themed, which I love. Everybody knows I love a bright pink, colorful eye look. So the first two eyeshadow palettes that I wanted to compare for you guys is the Mini Crush to the Mini Love. Now, when you look at them, you see there are two shadows really that could be considered similar. I would say those two center matte shades are the closest you're gonna see in this palette. Otherwise, I think that this is very much different from this palette right here. Okay, so here are the swatches of both of those palettes. Right here we have the Mini Crush, and then over here we have the Mini Love palette. You see that Lotus and True are kind of similar, and then Koi and Mai are very different. In the pan they look a little bit more similar than they are, but Mai definitely swatches way better and is more rich and more of a cool tone. This is way warmer and it's not as richly pigmented. Overall, this palette is a lot more warmer and rosy. This is much cooler and has more mauve-y tones to it. Alright guys, so here I have my Midi Retro palette from Natasha Denona and my Mini Crush. Let's go ahead and look at these shades. So we have two dark burgundy shades that are kind of similar, and then I feel like maybe these toppery shades might be comparable to Daisy. So let's take a look. So right here we have the shade Daisy from the Mini Crush palette. Then we have Glitz and a Psychedelic from the Midi Retro palette. The shade Daisy is a much more pink. They all are super reflective and they all have a shift to them, but this color has a much pinker base. These two have like a more silvery and more champagne, beigey base, and this one is just really pink. So you can see that they are different. Alright, here we are comparing the darker shades. Right up here we have the shade Koi from the Mini Crush, then we have Rebellion and Groove from the Retro palette. Now that I've swatched them out, this shade Rebellion doesn't look nearly as deep and dark as I thought it was going to, but these two shades are quite comparable. And these next three shades are Soul from the Mini Crush, then we have Amara and Rebellion again. So Rebellion is kind of similar and Amara is much more browny. Now let me show you guys this palette. So this is the Bloom eyeshadow palette from Alter Ego. This is supposed to be a dupe for the Natasha Denona Mini Size Love palette, and it is pretty much, it's exactly every same shade color, just in a different formula at a way cheaper price. So I had picked this up earlier last year, in the early part of last year, I think, and I want to go ahead and show you guys the two palettes in conjunction so you can kind of get an idea of the Midi Size Love palette color story in comparison to the Mini Crush. Alright guys, so that is it. That is everything with this brand new little Natasha Denona mini palette. Let me know what your thoughts are on this. Is this an item that you guys have picked up already, or are you planning to skip out on it? Do you already have these colors in your collection? I know that I have some of them, but I really felt like I wanted these in Natasha Denona's formula. And like I said before, I don't have the other palettes that these all these shades are coming from. So for me, I wasn't like rebuying the same shades just curated down. These are all brand new for my collection. And I feel like that's something for you guys to think about too if you were planning on picking this up just because you thought, oh, it's so cute the way she put them all together. Do you have those other palettes in your collection already? If so, I mean, do you really need this? Unless you're planning to exclusively use this for traveling and these are the types of looks that you're going to be doing every day, I think you'd be able to pass, but I got it. It is a nice little palette and I think that I'm going to get quite a bit of use out of it. I do love pink eye looks. They are one of my favorite to do. So I'm definitely going to get some use out of it. I love Natasha Denona's formula. It never does me wrong. But leave me down in the comments what you think about this look that we created today. And tell me your thoughts. I want to know. And if you are not already subscribed, please do consider subscribing. I make a whole bunch of beauty content here on my channel, and I would love to have you around for future videos. And if you like this video, please don't forget to give me a thumbs up. It really does help my channel out. And until next time, guys, bye.